Time is better time. I think I need to put my glasses on. But we'll give it about 10 seconds and then we'll get it going. All right, so here we go. Hey, what's going on, y'all? It is Jay Stokes of AVIOT Sunday Brew, also of the AVIOT podcast. I'm going to be doing this episode solo dolo. I know we're late into the evening on the East Coast, I should say. It's 8:10 over here on the East Coast where I'm at, East Coast of the United States, recording this Sunday Brew. And Jay Random is not joining us. Jay Random had a long day, and the reason why I couldn't record earlier is because today there were a lot of conference games for women's college basketball, NCAA Division I. The games that I was looking at specifically was TCU versus Oregon, UCLA versus USC, Duke versus NC State, and South Carolina versus Texas. So I had predicted that it was going to be NC State wins, South Carolina wins, UCLA wins, and TCU wins. I was 3 out of 4. So Duke actually ended up surprising me and beat North Carolina State. The reason why I think they won, though, is because Duke plays more of a system game. They have set plays, and if you were watching the actual game, you could see they were running plays. They never got rattled, and they really stuck it to NC State. Now, NC State, they're more street ballers. They like to play a lot of one-on-one. And unfortunately, when you're playing in tournaments, when you're playing a lot of different teams, that style is not going to win. It can win at times, but it's not sustainable, especially when you have a team that's playing in a system. So that's what Duke did, and I was rooting for them. I really was. The coach for NC State, I forget his name, is not coming up right now, and I don't feel like searching it right now, but he posed with a fan earlier. Well, I wouldn't say earlier, it was later in the season, but it was more recently. And the fan had a sign that said Angel Reese stinks. That bothered me because, number one, Angel Reese no longer plays college basketball. She's doing great things in the WNBA in the professional basketball space. So that's number one. And number two, she didn't even play in their conference. So NC State, they belong to the ACC, that conference of women's Division I college basketball. When Angel played, she played with the SEC. That's a different conference altogether. So why are you holding up a sign that says Angel Reese stinks if she doesn't play in your conference and she no longer plays college basketball? It reeks of racism to me. So I didn't like that. The coach should have done a better job. He should have been like, nah, delete that picture, or let me look at your sign before I pose with you. Nah, that wasn't cool at all. Octo Gaming 12, hey, how you doing? Thank you for signing in. So I'm doing the show solo dolo today. Jay Random is not on, and the reason why I'm doing this later on in the evening is because I was watching women's college basketball today. I was watching the different conference tournament games. So I was talking about NC State and Duke. I never root for Duke, okay? I'm from Connecticut. I always root for UConn and other teams, but it's never been Duke. How you doing, Pigeon? Hi. That's an interesting screen name, but hi, how you doing? But yeah, I never root for Duke. But today, I rooted for Duke, and I'm happy that they won, even though I predicted that NC State was going to win. Oh, thank you, Octo Gaming 12. Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. If you have any topics to talk about, just let me know. I'm going to be on here for a little bit just talking about some different topics that I have. It's supposed to be a collaborative experience with AVIOT Sunday Brew. We have a podcast that we release every week. Now, this past week, I didn't release a podcast episode. It was really rough, but I actually had that in the queue. I was supposed to release it on Thursday, so the episode that I actually released this week, today, was supposed to be for last week. All right, so apologies on that, but you could check out the AVI podcast on different streaming services. But yeah, this is supposed to be a collaborative talk. So going back to women's college basketball, I'm happy that Duke won. South Carolina versus Texas, that was the next game I watched, and I'm happy that South Carolina won. I knew that they were going to win that game because the way Texas played LSU yesterday was horrible. And LSU, they were down 2 of their star players. Anissa Morrow got injured during the game. And to be honest, she was playing in the game injured. And then Flau'jae Johnson didn't play in the tournament at all. Flau'jae was out, and you could see her with a boot on the sideline. And Texas still struggled to beat LSU. So I said, if you're struggling to beat LSU, you're not going to beat South Carolina. They have too many weapons that can go at you. And their bench is tough. So South Carolina took care of business today, blew out Texas. I do not have South Carolina winning the entire NCAA tournament once March Madness comes around. I want them to, but I don't see it happening. First, they're down Ashlyn Watkins. Ashton Watkins was a huge defensive presence for them, gave them another post player that could be interchangeable with all the other post players. I just think that they just don't have enough. I feel if Ashton was there, I'd feel more confident of them for them repeating this year, but I don't think they're going to do it. I personally think that UCLA is going to win, and UCLA actually ended up beating USC. I predicted that was going to happen. USC, Juju Watkins and her squad, they beat UCLA twice this year, and they beat them both at USC's home court and at UCLA's home court. And you can see that every time they beat them, Juju Watkins went off. So my thought was that the game plan for UCLA was going to be to contain Juju Watkins and let the other teams and let her teammates score. And unfortunately, Juju Watkins was going off in the first half. Once they contained her in that second half, the rest of the team couldn't score. That's the key to beating USC. The key to beating UCLA is you have to stop Lauren Betts, their 6'7" center who gets the ball and does the same move every time and scores. If you stop her, UCLA is done. I think UCLA is going to win the entire tournament because we haven't had team, but UCLA hasn't really played any competition except for USC. They played South Carolina early on, and South Carolina was just getting their footing. So I don't think that was a good predictor. I would like to see UCLA versus a UConn. I would like to see UCLA versus a Texas. I would like to see UCLA versus a South Carolina again. That's what, to me, would be the predictor of how good are they actually. If UCLA goes up against a team that can actually shoot and has more weapons than just one player, I don't see them winning in the tournament. So I can see them struggling at times, but they have Lauren Betts, and that is a cheat code. I think UCLA might end up going all the way. I hope I'm wrong. I would love for South Carolina to repeat. If not South Carolina, I would love for UConn, Paige, to get her first championship. As I said earlier, and I've let it be known on this platform, I am from Connecticut originally, so I'm always going to root for Connecticut teams, okay? So I would love for UConn to do some damage. TCU versus Baylor, I wasn't able to watch that game. I had a friend come over, and me, my friend, and my wife, we went out, and I had a feeling TCU was going to win that game. I did want Haley Van Lith to redeem herself, just because last year when she played for LSU, and we know that game against Iowa when she was getting cooked in the Elite Eight game, I felt really bad for her, and I wanted her to do well. Haley Van Lith is a hard worker. She's a prodigy of Kobe Bryant. And she's short. She's short, but she has heart, and she tries to play her best. So I really wish the best for her, and I'm glad that TCU, the team that she's on right now, they ended up winning in their division. I think it's the Big 12 conference. So I'm very happy about that. Great day of hoops. Definitely can't wait to see March Madness. Do I like dragons? Do I like dragons? I mean, I'm reading a comment, y'all. I like the myth. Yeah, I like dragons, the mythical creatures. Yes, I do. I do. I always thought, I personally, to be honest with you, I think that dragons did exist once upon a time. They may not have existed the way a lot of media depicts them, but I do think that dragons did exist. I mean, look, we got the Komodo dragon. But yeah, I do like dragons. I think they are beautiful, majestic creatures. I'm glad that they don't appear in this day and age. They're not flying in the sky, because I don't think any of us will be outside. They'd be eating us all. But yeah, so I just wanted to give you a recap of some things in basketball that I thought was really good. I'll tell you, man, women in general, we're in Women's History Month, but women are really doing big things, and I'm a supporter of women, not just because I came from a woman, not just because I have a sister, aunts, and I'm married to a woman, not just because of that, but just women in general. That is the other sex, right? There's male and female. I mean, you go into genders, and you got the woman being the other gender. We have transgender too, but women are just wonderful. And I was actually going to pivot into speaking about women in music, but I see more people are talking about dragons. Can you see Jungle Dragon? What is Jungle Dragon? I don't know what Jungle Dragon is. And Mark said Godzilla is the GOAT. Is Godzilla the GOAT though? Would you say so? Is Godzilla more popular than King Kong? Is Godzilla really the GOAT? If we're talking about mythical creatures in media, would you say that Godzilla is the GOAT? Let me know. I know some of y'all might be trolling, but I'm seriously trying to have a dialogue with y'all about some of these topics right here. I want to know, what is Jungle Dragon? Karun Chamba, what is Jungle Dragon, number one? And Mark, you're saying Godzilla is the GOAT. Can you give me more substance to that? All right. Speaking of substance, I said I was going to get into women in music, and there has been a conversation that has been happening on social media, and it's involving a female hip hop artist by the name of Doechii. So Godzilla is a dragon. Yeah, Godzilla is a dragon. Yeah, Godzilla is a dragon, Mark. Yes. So basically, going without what I was saying, Doechii, she was on an episode of Hot Ones Versus with DJ Miss Milan. And the conversation that's been happening now is she was talking about red flags in a relationship. And she was asking DJ Miss Milan, do you know what my biggest red flag in a relationship is? And she said it's straight men. So there have been a lot of men, and women too, there's been women chiming in, that have had taken issue with Doechii, saying that straight men are a red flag for her. And my perspective on it is, Doechii is bisexual, right? Diddy. I don't know. Why'd you say Diddy for? Because you're assuming because Diddy's not reportedly not straight. Is that what you're saying? But he fried Mothra. Oh, Godzilla fried? Yeah, I understand, but I'm saying in terms of mythical creatures and media, do you think Godzilla is the big bad? Like, do you think Godzilla is the best? Oh, thank you, Karun Chama. Thank you for subscribing. Appreciate you. Make sure to interact with our content. We love to have dialogue. We're building community here. But going back to what I was saying about Doechii with the straight men comment, my thing is she's bisexual, right? And I was talking to Jay Random, who I usually co-host with on this, about that. And in the gay community, in bisexual community, they have jokes about straight people, right? They say certain things about straight people. That's their prerogative. Just like in the straight community, I'm sure that there are a lot of jokes about gay people, bisexual people, what have you. So my thing is, she just said the quiet part out loud. Shout out, please. Gabby Hand, you want a shout out? Hey, Gabby. Hey, how you doing? So my thing is, Doechii's entitled to her opinion. If she feels that straight men are a red flag for her, then that's how she feels. My thing is this: what does that got to do with me? I'm married. I'm in a relationship. That don't have anything to do with me. Has nothing. So if she feels girl like boys, that's human. Oh, King Christian, girls like boys, that's human. I understand. Yeah, it is the norm. I mean, if you're looking worldwide, right? Straight people make up the majority. If in a heterosexual pairing, that's how we come here. That's how we exist, right? You need a man and a woman to have intercourse, or even if you do artificial insemination, you still need a male sperm and a female egg in order to produce humans. So that is natural. That's biology. You cannot get past that, right? That is what it is. However, you do have same-sex couples. You do have men that like men and women that like women. It is what it is. Like, that is life. With Doechii saying that straight men are a red flag, she is entitled to her belief. She said it on the public platform, so obviously people are going to respond to that. People are going to have their opinions about it, right? My thing is, she can say whatever she wants. It doesn't have anything to do with me. I'm married. I'm in a relationship. About 99% of y'all are never going to date Doechii, and you're not going to get married to Doechii. So why does it concern you? That is a perspective of one individual. You may not like her perspective, but that's her perspective. There's things that I think about, things that I have said that people may not agree with, but that's my perspective. I'm entitled to that. So I don't think there should be a huge discourse. I know how you make it. Yeah, Gabby, I'm not trying to insult your intelligence and say you don't know how children are made. All I'm saying is that whoever says that it doesn't take a man and a woman, their biological essence, in order to make another human is, I mean that's just not. They're going beyond fact. They're going beyond fact. So it is what it is. But with Doechii, I don't know why it's led to this huge discourse about her not wanting to date straight men or straight men being a red flag. And to be honest, if you truly are fans of Doechii's music, or if you've listened to her music before, you would know that she's been in a relationship with a bisexual man before, and the bisexual man has cheated on her. So obviously she's been in relationships with non-straight men that haven't worked out either, right? So she may say straight men are a red flag. That's okay. That's her prerogative. But even if she goes and dates somebody else, they might not treat her well either. That's for her to find out, right? Let her have her life. Let her do her thing. As long as she's making music that's cool, I'm gonna listen to it. If she's making music that's putting down like black men or straight men, then I might take issue, because why are you using your music in order to put down people? But then again, I gotta look at it like this. Hip hop music in the past, there's been songs that have put down gay individuals. There have been. So who am I to be a hypocrite there? My thing is, if the music is good, if the music is catchy, I might have a different opinion about it based off of how she's saying it. So that's that. I just think that the whole Doechii discourse there shouldn't be any conversation about it. Just let her have her opinion. That's it. Let her have her opinion. One thing I will say though, another woman who has had an opinion that has ruffled feathers in the past has been Gabrielle Union. So in the past, Gabrielle Union had made it known that her and her husband, Dwayne Wade, who makes significantly more than her, who's worth way more than her, went 50-50 in their relationship. And I thought that was very interesting that she even said that publicly. The reason why they went 50-50, I'm talking about finances, bills, all that stuff. That's what they let on. The reason why Gabrielle had said is because back in the day, her and Dwayne Wade, they had an argument, and Dwayne Wade, I guess, had made a comment saying, "You're in my place, I pay for everything," kind of using him paying for things like to dangle it over her. And so she took offense to that and said, all right, well, we're just gonna go 50-50 in our relationship. And so recently she came out, I'm trying to see right here, on the Balanced Black Girl podcast, and said that that whole 50-50, going 50-50 in a relationship, that whole split came from a place of hurt. It came from a place of trauma where she felt she couldn't trust anybody. And now she's allowed Dwayne Wade to take over more of the finances. Gabby Hand. Okay, Gabby Hand, okay. But now she's allowed Dwayne Wade to take over more of the finances because she saw that her mindset came from a place of trauma, hurt, not being able to trust anybody. So she has done a 180 on that 50-50 thing. And it makes sense. If you're making less than somebody and you're married to them, right, and you have a good relationship, and this person wants to pay more for you or take care of more of the expenses, why not let them do that? Why not let them do that? I don't see any problem with that. But then again, people are going to run their relationship however they want to run their relationship. However, when you allow other people into your relationship, that is when it becomes dicey. Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade, they can give advice to people on relationships if they choose to, but when they allow people to be in their relationship, when they start airing out a lot of their personal information, then that gives the public a chance to criticize, to write think pieces, to have an opinion on your relationship. You are people in the public eye. Whatever you say, people are going to have an opinion about, because unfortunately, celebrities, people who have a public platform, they're idolized, they're looked to for advice. They are people that we see as the movers and shakers of society. I don't think it should be that way. I think you should listen to your parents. I think you should listen to people in your community that you see doing right. I think that the people who you put on a pedestal, the people that you learn from, should be the people that you see. The people that you are able to have interactions with. You see their good and their bad. These people who are on a public platform, these celebrities, they present an image to you that they want you to see. It's not, and a lot of times it's not necessarily them. Whatever can make them money, whatever can make them the big bucks, that is what they're focused on. So I thought that was interesting that Gabrielle Union has done a 180 when it's come to that in her relationship with Dwayne Wade. Speaking of relationships, I gotta speak about Love is Blind a little bit. So I think Love is Blind this season took place in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So Love is Blind is a show that comes on Netflix by Nick Lachey and his wife, I think, with Vanessa Lachey. I think that's her name. And basically, they have people come together. They meet in Love is a Promise. Alexander Stark. What do you mean by that? Love is a promise? What do you mean by that? But Love is Blind, they go to major cities. I think they've done one in DC. They've done one in Seattle. And they go to these major places. They get people that want to find love, and they meet in these pods. If you haven't seen the show, I'm trying to explain it the best I can. And they don't see each other. So all they're able to do is they go into these pods and they talk to different people. So you'll have maybe like 10 women, 10 men, and they're in these pods and they're speaking to each of the women and men just to see who they connect with. So the women are on one side, the men are on the other side, and then they make their decisions on who they want to walk out of the pods with. And then they see their partners for the first time, and they have to propose to them, and they go through this kind of mock proposal, and then at the end they could decide if they want to marry the person that they proposed to or not at the end of the show. Most of the time, I don't think the success rate is that great. I don't think so. But it is what it is. We know that love is not blind. We know that love is not blind. Who's Jamal Jackson? Agent Scott. Who's Jamal Jackson? I don't know who that is. But we know love is not blind. And this show I have problems with. But in this particular season, there's a woman by the name of Sarah Carlton. And she had matched with a man by the name of Ben Mazenga. And Sarah and Ben, they were cool, but they didn't align politically, their political stances. Ben seemed to be on the fence when it came to matters involving the rights of Black individuals, the rights of LGBTQI plus individuals. And unfortunately, Sarah decided not to marry him at the end because her political ideology didn't align with theirs. And the thing is, they're in the same area where George Floyd was murdered by Derek Chauvin. So it is really a big deal for some people to support issues that involve Black people, to support issues that involve people who are marginalized or underprivileged. Alexander Stark, a promise to have and to hold through thick and thin. Love is work, not only a promise to your partner, but a promise to yourself. I agree. Yes, loving someone and marrying someone is work. As someone who is married and I'm going into my third year, I'm actually going into my third year, past the second year, I will say it is work. Choosing to be married, it's not easy. And I think that a lot of people, they just look at the wedding aspect of it, or they look at the fun times and think, okay, well, yeah, I want to get married, because you're thinking about a big wedding or you're thinking about the happily ever after, but you're not thinking about the rough times. You're not thinking about really fighting it through with people. The thing is, like, there's different factors that can come into a marriage. You get laid off from a job, you might get injured, you might not get along with the person's family members. There are so many different factors that go into marriage, and people don't consider these things. My thing is, when I decided to get married, I knew that there were going to be problems exactly, Alexander. Honeymoon stage does not last. That's right. Honeymoon phase does not last. Exactly. People are focused on the honeymoon phase, but they're not focused on the work. For every couple you have seen that has made it and has lasted together for years, those couples have had deep, hard conversations. The healthy relationships, because you have some couples that are trapped in marriages, you have some couples that are in abusive relationships, unfortunately. But healthy relationships, they have hard conversations. They have been through tough times. The happiest couple you've seen together, they've still had rough times. They've had rough times, okay? So shows like Love is Blind, I'm not a fan of, because I do think they make a mockery of marriage and a mockery of love, and I think a lot of people are typecast in order to be on these things. I feel like it takes a certain personality in order to get on to national television and to go through a process where you're expected to commit to somebody after a few weeks of knowing them. That's not how life works. In some circumstances, you have people that have met and they got married right away and they stand the test of time. However, that's not necessarily the norm. So that is that. But going back to Sarah and Ben, hardest truth I had to deal with is I can't make my partner happy. Right, Alexander, hardest truth I had to deal with is I can't make my partner happy. They have to work on it themselves. Right, exactly. That is part of it. A lot of times, and I had to learn this too, a lot of times you think that when your partner doesn't respond a certain way or that your partner isn't happy, it's all about you. Sometimes you might be doing the best you can. Sometimes you may be really meeting their needs, but they themselves are not happy. They themselves don't have it all together. And the thing is, are you going to work with them? Have you seen this even before you even chose to marry them? Maybe something came up after marriage and they had to work on it. But that support of that person is what matters. I mean, that's the honest to God truth. Anyone that's trying to sell you a dream of marriage, either they haven't been married or they're not being realistic, because marriage is hard work. Why do I feel like, what is this on my hair? Jeez. What happened to my hair? I gotta wash this off. I don't like that. But, sorry, I got into a sidebar. Going back to Sarah and Ben though, yeah, the fact that they weren't aligned politically, I could see why that relationship wouldn't last. And it's not advise, don't criticize. Yeah, I agree. It's best to advise, not to criticize. I agree. I totally agree. But it was interesting from the clips I did see, because my wife was watching The Love Is Blind this season. I didn't want to watch it because, like I said, I don't care for the show like that. What was interesting, the clip she was showing me, the Ben character, or the Ben person on this Love Is Blind show, he was being very non-committal when it came to answering questions like, do you support Black Lives Matter? Do you support the fact that Black lives have value, that they do actually matter, and that we shouldn't be unfairly targeted by law enforcement, that we should have the rights to different opportunities in this country, that we shouldn't be discriminated against? If you are on the fence about that, you are not a good person. She asked about the LGBTQIA plus of the gay community and what his thoughts were on that. He said he hadn't given much thought to it. If you are on the fence about gay people, you are not a good person. Gay people should have the right to opportunities, whether it be jobs, whether it be being in media, whether it be being able to express themselves creatively. They should have that opportunity. They should have that right. That shouldn't be a controversial thing. But hey, some people are still stuck in their ways and they don't want to acknowledge that there are other people that live in this world outside of themselves. And no matter how much you push against the lives of Black people, the lives of immigrants, lives of gay people, the lives of even trans people, they still exist. I always just say, you can have your beliefs and I have mine, as long as you're not pushing on me that I need to, like, just basic human rights are basic human rights. However, there could be certain ideologies that are different too. Yeah, exactly, CJ, exactly. My thing is, you don't have to like Black culture. I don't know what there is to like, because our different cultures are great, because there's multiple Black cultures and we're just special like that. But you don't have to like Black culture, but you can still be in support of Black people not being targeted by law enforcement and killed without any weapons on them, which happens a lot. That is, a decent person would say that is wrong. You don't have to be in support of gay marriage, but you can say, all right, well, they can get married. It has nothing to do with me. You're not marrying that person. And here's another thing too, when it comes to gay people, I know there's a whole thing about the Bible, and people try to use that, a lot of religious folk, a lot of Christians, even Muslims too. My thing is, if you feel that gay people are going to be punished by God, why are you making their life on earth rough? They already have eternal punishment according to what your scripture says. So why do you want to make what they have here rough as well? That's up to God to decide, not you. That's for God to decide. And then we can't pick and choose. If we're discriminating against people who are gay, shouldn't we also discriminate against people who eat shellfish? Because last I checked, in the Old Testament, which is where you're choosing a lot of the gay talk from, God ain't want y'all eating shellfish. I know in certain scripture, God didn't want y'all eating swine, right? God, people are God's children to love thy neighbor. My thing is this, like, we don't know how God thinks. For those of y'all who believe in God, we don't know how God thinks. You can have your scriptures in the Bible, right? And you can quote this and that. I'm just saying, let gay people live. They exist. Let them live. Let them do their own thing. Let them do their own thing. As long as they're not bothering you, right? If a gay person knocks on your door and barges into your house and says, all right, I'm gonna paint the rainbow flag everywhere, that's a problem, right? That's a problem. It's drastic, but that's a problem. But if a gay person is just holding hands with their partner down the street, what's that got to do with you? I think I think it says more about you that bothers you. Let them be. Let them have their own lives. Let them have their own liberties. It's fine. So that's just my piece on there. And then y'all picking and choosing what to take from the Bible and what not to take. There's a lot of things that God wasn't happy with in the Old Testament that a lot of people do nowadays. You're right, there is a line. Yeah, exactly, Alexander. There is a line. There's a line. So that's my piece with that. But yeah, I thank y'all for joining the show today. Didn't really have much to talk about. It's really tough doing this on your own. I really miss Jay Random today. Hopefully he's with us next Sunday. He was just traveling this week and he was tired. And I hope I did a good job entertaining y'all. Thanks for everybody for showing up. For what's brewing for me this week, I will say, still working on my immigration piece. It's tough because I'm doing this video where I'm really trying to cover immigration and touch on some falsehoods there. And it's been a little difficult just to do research on that. I have a lot of competing priorities, but I really want to get that video out just because I made a statement about it a couple of weeks ago. And I really want to touch on that in more detail. So that's what I'll be working on, covering women's basketball. And yeah, just kind of keeping on with the grind. So for those of you out there, please make sure you brought some good points. Thanks, man. Thank you, Alexander. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. But for those of y'all who don't know, Chemistry Productions is a media education company. We try to educate about different aspects of media. I'm trying to do the best I can. We're very short-staffed. And we talk a lot about sports. We talk about music. We talk about movies. Feel free to just message us, give us some topics to talk about. And we'll keep on trying to educate people about media out there, different messages that are getting out there. Make sure to follow us on YouTube. Make sure to follow us on our streaming platforms, whether it be the AVIOT podcast or Chemistry Productions on. Thank you, Alexander. I appreciate you. I really do appreciate you on this. Thank you so much. Really do appreciate you. But make sure to, and the AVIOT podcast is the official podcast of Chemistry Productions. We just do this on Sundays. We call it AVIOT Sunday Brew because we interact with people live. And this is our only chance to really do it live. Otherwise, we do our podcast and we just put it on streaming services every week. But yeah, Chemistry Productions, we're on TikTok, we're on Tumblr, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Lemonade, we're on Blue Sky, we're on Threads. We're pretty much everywhere. Make sure to follow us and support us. We're really working on building community, and we appreciate you. Thank you all for joining today. I thank everybody who commented, and definitely check us out next Sunday. All right, peace.